Hello class. In this tutorial I would like to demonstrate how we go about creating a class and saving the class under .h file and creating different source files and kind of make the program more modular rather than having all the code under one source file. And with that said, so I'm using Visual Studio 2012 as you can see, and so the first thing we're going to do is just create a new project. We're going to be using console Win32 console application method. I'm going to select a location for my program, and I just select the name as the system as the software that Visual Studio 2012 provide me, but you can change this to anything that you would like to. Click OK. Say next. I'm going to use an empty project. Good. So next thing we're going to click on the Solution Explorer, and then we're going to do under header file, we're going to say add new item. So in this case, your choice, but we are creating a header file. We select header file, and again here you can change the name if you wish. Say add. So now again, as I stated, our objective is to create a class, but in this case our class is going to be residing on its own on a different separate file, and we're going to put it in the header file. As an example, we're going to go ahead create a class here, and before doing that we have to also include our standard library. So let's start with this. We're going to say include string, which I will be needing that for my program. Next, we're going to be using standard string. Then we're going to go ahead and declare a class. We're going to say class. In this case, I'm going to be calling a new class. I'm going to call it magazine. So open bracket, and this is going to be a public. So you have different access specifier. In this case, we are using the public access specifier. String magazine name, string type of magazine, semicolon, typo here. Next, we're going to say double price. We want to find out the price of the magazine, and we're going to create another variable. We're going to call it total sold. We want to keep track of how many of these magazines were sold. Then we're gonna create also a function, a number function. We're gonna call it display, which is gonna be void type. It doesn't receive or return any value. And then we're gonna close our bracket. In this case, so under header file, we declare our magazine class of type public. We assign variables to this. There are member variables and a member function called void display, and we include our library called string. So we could call it's a string variable to declare the name of our magazine and type of magazine. So this is done. So the first thing now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add another file here. We're going to say a new item. In this case, it's going to be a CPP file because it's going to be a source file. I'm going to say add. And here, what we're going to do is we're going to add the member function. We're going to write down the actual function. So although it's declared under header file, under class, but we need to declare the function, what it's going to do, what is going to return. Now, the next thing we need to do is, first of all, we have to declare our library. In this case, I'll be using iOS Stream. And I'll be using standard cout, which is output, then using standard end of the line, and the most important thing, we need to include our header file. See, the header file shows up, which contains our class information. Okay, so we need to have that. Next, since we have our member function called display in the source file, actually we're going to go ahead and write our function. So it's going to be a type void. We're going to call it magazine. So magazine is the class, and then if you put dot display, it displays it the name of your function, which we know it's a display. So what does this function do for us? So first of all, this is going to display a message on the screen for us. So we're going to say cout. So let's go put the next. We're gonna play a message here. We're gonna write a message here stating welcome to magazine program. Then all right, so our member function has been complete, is written now. So to recap, we create a new source file. We included our iOS Stream library, which will allow us to call the standard output and also the end of the line to format our output. Then here another important thing is we have to include the header file, which actually contains information about the member function class. So now we start writing our function, which is a void type and just displays a message. Now the next thing we need to do is, in this case in our example, we're going to go ahead and add another source file. It says add new item C++, and again the name you can change it, but I'm going to just select the default. Alright, in this program, what we're going to do is we're going to again include our libraries that you really need. In this case, I'm going to be using std cout, Then I'm going to be using standard output, end of the line here too. Then again, I'm going to include my header file, which is nice. It pops up. Then now we need to create our main function, which is very important to call so the compiler execute our code. Okay, the first thing, since we create a class, in this case we need to create an object of the class. So let's do this. Magazine, cp.magazine, it brings your class. Then I'm gonna call my object of the class okay. So here we go. I create an object of my class. I'm going to call it my magazine. I'm just going to, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to create one object of that class. Next, I'm going to use the my magazine that I declare, and you see if you put dot, it displays your the class information. So you select, in this case I want to use the function member function, so it displays a message on the screen first for us. Then I'm going to say my magazine again. In this case I'm going to use the member variable of the class my magazine name, which I'm going to initialize it. I'll say food and wine. Right, then I do the same thing with order variables, and I'm going to say type of magazine. I'm going to say food. Then I'm keep on populating its member variables. Price, I'll give it a price. I will say maybe $12.45. The same thing again. My magazine. I'm going to say total. Total sold. Let's say that we know this we sold about 2,345.56 revenue. Okay. So now that we have populated its members of the class, now let's go ahead and kind of print the results. So we are using cout. We're going to say here is the end for about the then let's go ahead and print those variables that we want to print. First of all, I would like to print the magazine name, right? And I'm going to put space. Then I'm going to my magazine again, the next variable, so on and so forth. Then I'm going to say type of magazine, space. My magazine. Then I'm going to put the price of the magazine. Total sold, and end of the line to format our output. Next, we're going to enter a system parameter called system pause. So the results is wait for us on the screen so we can read it. Okay, so let's recap. First of all, we created a header file and we included our class. So as we stated. Next, we created a source file, and then important thing is that we included our header files and our input libraries that we need to use for that function. And we create a function. Basically, it's a void type that displays just a message on the screen. Next, we have a source file, the main file, and the function that we have to declare. So we separate that one as well. Again, we included our header file, and then we create an object of that magazine class. I call it my magazine. You can call it anything you want. And we could have declared multiple of them. Magazine, my second magazine, my third magazine. We could have populated members as we did it in this case. So that's what we did. We populated all its member by using the dot method here, and then we printed the result on the screen. So let's go ahead and run it. Alt F5. Here we go. So the program ran, and it just printed information on the screen for us. Okay. So this kind of shows you how you can write a class and separate them in different files instead of having it in one file. And then you can put it in a header file, and then basically execute it the same way. If you click on the Solution Explorer, you're going to see two source files and your header files. So this is kind of another way that you can go ahead and separate your codes using C++. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful for your object-oriented programming. Thank you.